G'day fellas, and welcome to Beyond All Reason. In today's video, we're going to be taking a look at two replays, and the strategy I'm going to be showing you is one that we've featured on the channel before, but nothing quite like this, and it is a Starlight death push. So essentially, these two replays are up against pretty decent players. You'll see on the enemy front line, we're up against Baby XTZ once again. In both of the games, we'll be up against him. So the first video, we're just going to be talking more broadly, and then the second video, we'll actually be looking at the build order and how you can do it. So our goal here is to be purchasing our T2 from our tech player. And this is incredibly important. I've gone through, I've done the math, and I've said, okay, how fast can we do things ourselves? Let's say if we wanted to go for a Starlight push ourselves, how fast would we actually be able to do it? And the truth is, you're never going to get anywhere near as close if you do it all yourself versus if you buy from your tech player. And the good news is that tech players are getting a lot better. I've had quite a few low OS tech players, and they still get out really competitive times for their T2 con. And the idea is that we're going to be purchasing the very first one. So Nutrition on the back here is going to be putting down his T2 lab somewhere either here or over here, and then he'll be tapping this Mex, and then he'll be flying out the Constructor over to our base. That's the general strategy. From there, we're going to look to push with Starlights, and we'll look to push very, very quickly with them. Now, there's a couple things to note about this strategy. It's a little bit more risky, okay? If you're up against a very strong front line, it's probably a better idea that you just try and rush to T2 and get those mouses out ASAP, because in the event that you don't do that, your front is going to fall pretty quickly and you will need units. And there's going to be a delay in the units. But the good thing about how quick these T2s are coming out now is the fact that you're subsequently able to get your own units out even faster if you buy them. So we're going to drop down our Geo here. Everything's been pretty standard so far. This is just our normal 3-mex opening. I will just say that when it comes to the Geo position, the blue side is actually worse than the red side by far. And that's because of the closeness of these trees. So on the red side, what you're looking to do is come up like this. So you take these two mexes and then this one right here, and then it gives you really close proximity to the trees, whereas here you don't have that close proximity. You come up like this and then you basically still got quite a bit of distance. It means the commander can't be sucking up those trees. So one of the things I've been doing, and I think this is almost 100% meta at this point, is asking Pond for titles until you get to Geo. And then once you get to Geo, then you give the titles back. So I even offer to pay for them, and Pond almost always will happily do that for you. Pond is very much a supportive role, so that's a big component of it. And then after the Geo's up, moving straight into our Nanos, and here we're looking to hand off our Constructor. Meanwhile, towards the front, you can see that Baby's playing a little bit more of a slow strategy here. So XTC. Sorry, I should be calling him XTZ because his name's not Baby. It's just so easy to call him Baby because this is so hard to pronounce, and Baby is his clan. There's a lot of Baby guys. I'm sure you've seen them around. They're pretty good. But playing a bit of a slow strategy here, and you can see that he is working down enemy units. But it's going to take some time for him to actually build up the tempo here. Meanwhile, his ally in the lane is doing a pretty decent job. Now, one thing to note is we've got our high OS players on the C. If we take a look from our perspective, let's write on board right here. So we've got our very best player on the team, OS 50. He's on the GOC. And then we've got OS 34 on the beach C. Now, this is a really good thing for the late game. So basically, if we can survive through the early game, we should be able to win, because the likelihood that we win these lanes is quite high. Because even though you can see that we've got the orange player here, but this is a relatively fair matchup. So, the chance that he wins here, I'd say it's probably somewhere in the region of like 55-45, 45 being his way. But anyway, back towards this position, and you can see one of the things that we're doing, it's 4 minutes and 5 seconds, and the T2 Constructor is about to come out. So this is the consequence of, I guess, of the improved build orders that we're starting to see here. So this is a really good time. So shout out to Nutrition. He's done incredibly well. I think the standard build order is something very similar to what he's gone for here. I don't think you necessarily need the energy converters, but they're still absolutely fine. And it's only going to delay you a small amount. And here you can see 430 touchdown at this stage is just absolutely superb. We've got 5 nanos that are here, and the goal is that we're going to look to build this as quickly as we want. Now, keep in mind, if we wanted to do this all ourselves, we would only just be getting the T2 lab up right now, and we would only have the Constructor coming out right now, because we've got to take a detour to the Geo. It takes a little bit longer for us to get our T2 online. Commander's going to blow here as well. You can see we've got the first of the 2 AMAXs coming up. The third one's coming up as well. Meanwhile, the front looking a little bit scary here. Okay, we've got Baby that's pushing up. We've also got Ozvideo that is also pushing up. So it's looking a little bit scary here. But meanwhile, behind the scenes, you can see we're at 5 minutes on the dot here, and we've got our 3 AMAXs up. We've also got quite a bit of metal in the bank here. And one thing to note that's really important about this strategy is that if you take a look at the metal here, 2.3 metal coming out of a normal metal extractor, 9.2. So you're essentially 4x what your enemy would be doing. And if we take a look at the enemy, you'll see that their T2 lab is only coming up. So Stoic Moose, a little bit delayed here on this position. And it looks like he's going to be playing into Mausers. So he's immediately rallying towards the front. So he's a little bit slower, about a minute slower than where you could be, mainly because he's also put down a huge amount of energy converters, when the reality is you just don't need them. There's efficiencies that you can find. But the front is obviously looking quite grim here. So let's ride back on board and see how we're doing. So we're looking to get the advanced geothermal power plant up ASAP. We're also looking to get our 4th AMAX up. This is something that you can slow roll. You don't need to, you don't need to prioritize it. And now that the advanced geothermal is up, your energy concerns are not going to be a problem. We're at the 6-minute mark here. We're at the 6-minute mark here, and this has now come up online. So what we can then do is put down a whole bunch of converters. You can see, but one of the things that, if we did the math right here, 1250 energy, 70 energy for a conversion. This is the equivalent of about 18 metal per second, which is insane when you think about it, right? Like just the amount of metal that you can bring out of this. But here we're at 630 and we're dropping our T2 lab. We're also going to get donated quite a bit of metal. I would just say right now, we don't actually need the metal. It's obviously lovely to have the metal, but you'll see that we're just floating their metal pretty much the entire time that we do get it. So you can see Cloud saying I can donate 500. Nira sends 400 back from the front instead of using it for himself. And of course, that's obviously just going to get converted into units. And at 656, despite the fact that we've also just been fed a little bit of metal, we're going to start those units rolling. And because the front is falling, instead of going into Starlights immediately, we want to get Mausers out first, just because Mausers are cheaper, they're easier to maneuver, and they're also quite effective at dealing with these large groups of units. So they'll be really effective in this. But you can see that front is definitely falling here. The enemy has also got their Mausers towards the front, so it's been a little bit of a delay. But behind the scenes, they're looking to get their T2 up. So if we just pause right here, just to do a quick stock take and see where this is at, you'll see that he's at 22 metal per second, which is all right. He's got a whole bunch of his energy converters that are working overtime because he's not really doing anything else with his energy. Meanwhile, we're sitting on 45. So we are more than double him at this stage. So for every unit he produces, we produce 2. And keep in mind that while that is the case, it's actually much more than that. And the reason why is because once we push the enemy, because we're producing twice as many units as he is, we're now able to push the enemy back, and then we're able to take the reclaim field, which means we're able to essentially get, instead of 2 times the units, normally somewhere around 3 times the units, which is why you often see these incredible mismatches on the geo position in the event that you're able to purchase your T2 constructor versus if you have to build it yourself, and it just makes it so much harder. So if we check back in on our eco player, he's doing all the right things. He's about to get his 4th AMAX up, and we're just pushing front. We're having a great time, and we're able to solo carry the game from this point. The only thing that we need is line of sight, so ticks. So essentially T1 spam is what it's called. And the good news is, even if you don't have a cooperative ally, you're able to do that yourself because it's very affordable to do it. It's only 600 metal for the lab, and then you're just spamming out ticks, which take very little metal, very little build power for you to do it. So you don't really notice it. But our main focus here is essentially to double down the same way that we have seen players like in the club just double down once they're in this geo position, just really looking to focus on only pumping out units. So now that the Mausers have come out, you see that we've been able to clear the majority of this push. If we ride on board from our perspective, at this stage of the game, things are looking really good. Okay, so we were pretty much able to outmatch their brown player down here. You can see Fizz has done a good job. We're at the 9-minute mark, and he's about to win C. He's up against a whole bunch of subs. At the same time, towards the top, Cloud is still fighting it out with Avant-Garde, but there's no real influence that's come in yet. The main issue is going to be in the mid, and with the commander going down now, that's going to give us free reign, and it's also going to give us a huge ability. You can see I'm actually making a mistake here and not rezzing up the Mausers. I think there might actually be something to be said about actually getting in that T1 lab about this time, and then just getting a whole bunch of Lazarus out, and instead of reclaiming everything, just rezzing everything. I think you probably want to eat commanders because they take a little bit too long to res and to repair because they've got so much build power. But now, as a consequence, so the Mausers have come out, they've been able to hold, and this is where things start to get very heavy for the enemy because we've now got the Starlights coming. And the Starlights, to be honest, I think the Starlights are incredibly overpowered. I genuinely think they are just, they're unmatched. If we think about it, like, what beats the Starlight? If we're talking about units, does the Sniper beat the Starlight? No. Does the Mauser? No. Does the Sheldon? No. What beats it? It's T3. So you'd be looking at something like the Vanguard, which is the T3 artillery that can climb up here, or the Catapult, which is the T3 artillery for the core that fires out the rockets. You could also potentially do a like a Persecutor or a Rattlesnake. That works well, but the problem that you have is once you get to a critical mass of Starlights, there's really nothing that can be done. The only time that I've ever lost with my Starlights is when I misplay. So that is if I go a little bit too far forward, so they can be beaten by things like flanking. But at this stage, you're clearly able to see that we've got ourselves a nice bit of push that's coming on here. We're once again right on board in our perspective, and you can see the Mauser pushes coming out. We've also got a whole bunch of Jaguars here just in case, and this is something I've been increasingly adding to my pushes, is just simply because the enemy at some point may decide they're going to try and rush you down, and you need to have something that can block for your Starlights. So often you can't rely on your allies. I've been very fortunate in this game that I've got two players that are very reliable. I've asked for ticks, and I will shortly be getting ticks. We've got a lot of good spam coming towards the front, which is exactly what we need for this T2. Often people make the mistake of going T2 on the front, when the truth is you don't need to do it. You need that cannon fodder in the front to be providing line of sight, to be providing extra body so that in the event the enemy tries to do something that you're going to be able to prevent them from happening. But here we spot out the Rattle. At this point, the game is pretty much over, if we think about it, right? We've been very fortunate in that our GOC player has won. We're looking pretty good on the beach sea as well. So the wind conditions are collapsing for the enemy. But not only that, we held the front, and now we're pushing the front. And the good news is, even if we were losing both of these seas, we'd still be able to win the game. And that is because we have got so much power that is about to come out. So we've got the 1, 2, 3 Rattle, or 1, 2, 3 Starlights here. We've got the fourth one that's at the back, fifth one that's coming through, and we're just looking to add in a couple of additional units. So I always like getting just a couple of Shredders out, and this is a ratio that I like. 3 Starlights, 10 Jaguars. It seems to work quite well. And then from here, we can just push down the enemy. If we take a look on the enemies, from the enemy's perspective, they're going to start going for Starlights now. But of course, we're on a way higher amount of metal, a way higher amount of energy, and we've been on it for a lot longer. We've also been eating up this reclaim field the entire time. If we take a look at the statistics, let's see if we can get them up here, because obviously things are not going well for the enemy. So we're sitting at 28.3. And the enemy's only at 21k metal. And that is going to be the first game that's done. So let's go in, let's focus a little bit more on the minutiae of it. We've talked a little bit more about like the larger picture, but you can see just the power that this push has got. And you can see Aria in there saying, and I said, bro, buying T2 is so effing OP. And yes, it really is. It is absolutely broken. Have a look at these graphs as well, just to see how much further ahead you are if you just buy the T2. It's just, it's absolute insanity. All right, let's jump into the second one. Okay, so we're now in the second game. It's the same lobby. The players have mixed up a little bit, but we're still up against ZX or XZT. One thing to note, we do start again on this side, but I will just caveat this part by saying that the other side is by far the best side to be doing any kind of strategies from Geo, just because of the proximity to the tree. So as you can see, they're right here, and the commander can actually eat the trees, which just makes the early game so good. If you've got a wind stall, you just eat the trees, and you actually you make less wind. So anyway, let's start off. Let's talk a little bit about this build order. First mex comes in, then we're going to go straight into our other 2 mexes. From here, we're going to ask Pond once again if we can pay for a title. Just a single title is all we need, because the earlier we can get it, the better. It's going to mean that in the event there is a wind stall, that we're going to be a little bit safer. It also means that we only need to go into 2 wind turbines if we can get this early. So we don't want to deny it from front. We still want front to get their energy. It's just that we also want to just get a little bit of energy, and it's important that we pay the Pond player for that if they're not happy to give us one for free, just because often they can be quite low on the medal count. So you can see, can I buy 1 title? And Nutrition saying, of course. So being a very cooperative teammate from the Pond, which is lovely to see. So we've gone into the 3 wind turbines. We're at 4.8 wind here. We've sent the medal and he's provided the title. So this right now is so incredible for us to have. So really look to try and do that. It's going to give you so much flexibility throughout these early games. From here, our ally has asked for a res as well as a constructor. Oh, I just realized that, hold on, let me fix this up. This right here, sorry. There we go. He just gave you guys a big black bar at the bottom of the screen. So from here, we're going to go into 4 Lazarus and then into 2 construction bots. And the idea is that we want the Lazarus to come out over here. And you can see me saying, God, this Geospot is so much worse than red. And that is because, well, if we take a look at the red side, the commander is up here and he's eaten all these trees. So he basically doesn't even have to worry about the wind stall, whereas we're worried about the wind stall. And that's the difference, because all we can do here is like we can make more winds or we can assist the lab. And there's no point assisting the lab if you've got 3 wind. And it's like, yeah, you could make a solar, but then it's like, well, now I've got to, if I make a solar, I've got to reclaim the solar. There's a lot of nuance to it. But from here, we've got the 1, we've got the 2, and we've got the 3 Lazarus that are going to be out here. Because our allies asked for this 4th one, we've got our Lazarus that's going to come out and going to eat the 75. I don't know exactly what number was being shown right there. We're going to eat the 75, and then we're going to go and hand over that Lazarus. The same time, the 2 constructors, we've got the first one and the second one, so very similar to the existing build order that we've got. The constructor just going to come out, eat the trees. We're going to do a little bit of movement here as well. And then after we've tapped this blueprint with the first constructor, our commander will eventually get to it, don't worry. And our constructor will come out here, and then we'll hand off the constructor. So you can see we've handed off the Lazarus, and then the constructor will be handed off after that. So we've got 1 constructor back here, and the idea is that we're going to communicate early with our ally that, hey, we want to purchase T2. Another important thing to note is you want to ask them how fast can they do a T2, because if they say, oh, like 7 minutes, you probably don't want to buy from them. But if they can do like a 4-minute or a 4-minute 30 T2 constructor, then that is really good. And obviously with an OS 46 in the back, I'm feeling pretty confident that Deck Commander knows how to get his T2 constructor out pretty quick. So at 70%, I like to bring this constructor back in. And the idea is that we're going to go up to 4 nanos in this area. And then depending on how fast this constructor is, will depend on whether we add more in. If the constructor is slower, we're going to add more and more nanos progressively. So the spots that you want, and you always want these spots right here, you'll see that it hits 1, 2, 3 mexes. Here also hits the 3. Here also hits the 3. And this one also hits all 3 of these mexes as well as the geo. And then over here, we would look to add in a nano that touches both this mex and the geo. So you can see we can get in quite a few somewhere along here. And you also want it to intersect with this initial one as well, just so that it can power them up. So somewhere in this region right here is where we'd be looking to get it down. We're also going to be putting in, as you can see, we're handing over the medal right now to Deck Commander, and we're going to be feeding him energy. We're going to be constantly watching his energy bar if he needs energy. We're also going to be looking to put down 2 energy storages. This is really important because the advanced geo requires a lot of energy. So either you can use energy infrastructure or you can use energy storage. And I think energy storage is much better, much safer. And you can see we quickly go up to that. We're not making any converters at this stage. The idea is that we want to store all of our energy at this point. And we're going to look to blow our commander. But unfortunately, our ally looks to put all of his planes right on top of our commander. That's like, it's one of those things where it's like you'll eventually learn not to put your don't worry, we communicate with him. Anyway, T2 comes down. Beautiful timing once again. This one's dropped off at 4:30. So again, this will just go back. By the way, check this out. This is so funny. I didn't realize this until I went back and watched the replay. These guys are meant to automatically go over here. They come over to this, and then this drops off. I couldn't believe it. Yeah, so because we didn't complete this 1 energy converter, the nanos prioritized it instead of the advanced AMEX, and the blueprint dropped. It's a small little detail, but it's one of those things. So basically, you just want to make sure that you keep all those blueprints up and running. It doesn't really harm us that much. So in the end, we do take we blow the commander up. Normally, you want to do this right as you're about to run out of metal. And so now you can see that we've got our advanced geo coming up 5:15. The timing is absolutely ludicrous. Our front is once again very, very competent here. I tell you what, I don't know but I suspect both of these guys are Smurfs. I'm not kidding you. I think this guy is the _X_ Smurf, and this guy, I don't know who he is, but he's really good. And like he's up against like 60 OS and he's dominating. Like, look at this, man. It's like kind of sus. Anyway, we'll worry less about Smurfs and more about what we're doing. So we want to focus on getting our 3 AMEXs up. If your front is under pressure, you don't have to go for this 4th AMEX. Just try and get the advanced geothermal up, put a whole bunch of converters down, and then look to get your T2 lab up. So this is an optional one right here. And you can see here that instead of putting down that nano initially, we're putting down the nano right now. And then the idea is that these guys will be able to build it. The trouble is they're not all able to reach it though. So you can see that we do have a little bit of a problem in that regard. So we're going to lose this blueprint. It's not a huge issue, as long as this AMEX just comes up, right? Like the idea is that we want it to come up eventually. The sooner, obviously, the better. And meanwhile, you can see that we've now got a whole bunch of energy that is being produced, an extra 600. So this is going to overflow to our team. Deck Commander definitely going to need it. Fizz going to obviously need it as well. And meanwhile, we're just focused on getting these up. The sooner we get these up, then the sooner we're able to start converting that metal. We're sitting at 37 metal at the moment. Let's just quickly pause the game. This one is going to come up online soon, but let's take a look over at the enemy side. Okay, so we've got Avant-Garde, who is a pretty good player, right? He's OS 32. He knows what he's doing. We're at 6 minutes 30 here. You can see that, oh, we've got, I don't know what this white box is. We've got some Mausers that are coming out. He's actually airlifting them to the front. So he's already got them out here and looking to defend this position, which naturally he kind of needs to do because his front is getting pushed despite it being so strong. The trouble is that all of these are just T1. And if he wanted to go into T2, he could, but he's going to need to make an advanced construction vehicle, 580 metal, and then he's going to need to put out the metal, not to mention the build power for this. If you can front load it all the same way that we have, you're able to build that build power in the front, you're able to stock up on all of that energy, and you're able to just to smash it out nice and quickly. And that means that you're able to leverage a huge amount of metal in the lead. If we take a look here at the stats between us, even at this stage at 6 minutes and 45, we're sitting at 8.7k, he's sitting at 7k. So we're already 1.7k metal up, and that's obviously just going to continue to build. So from here, we're always looking to go into the advanced vehicle plant. We'll turn the player perspective on, and we're going to make sure that we reclaim the lab, look to funnel the metal straight in. And meanwhile, our front is just looking very happy. So if our front is looking like this, if they're looking good, we don't need to stop by with Mausers. We can just go straight into, Starlight, or we can make a constructor, which is something I've become a bit of a fan of, especially if your front is doing well like this. Get them that early constructor, and it's quite helpful. So you can see right here, we've got the advanced, we've just handed over our constructor. We don't ask for payment, and you can see we've now got the second one that's going to come out and help our ally on the front, and then we'll go into Starlight. So even if the front starts falling, we're still going to be okay because these guys are going to be T2. Meanwhile, the enemy Geo player doesn't even have his T2. He's only just got his constructor out yet. So if he's only got his constructor, they're not going to have their constructor. So you can see the power of, I guess, not just having this early T2, but also having a strong front. Like there's obviously a lot that goes into this, right? And when it comes to like the Starlight death push and just how stupid it is, there are, it's almost like a Yu-Gi-Oh deck where, what's that? I can't remember the name of it, but basically it needs all of these cards to go right. And it's like, you need to have an eco player who knows what they're doing and can get you a constructor early. You also need to be quite competent. Your front line needs to make sure that they're not falling. Like we're at 8 minutes here and the Starlights are starting to roll out. Of course, this can be faster. We can make it faster by only going into the 3 AMEXs and the Geo. But from here, that's essentially it. And then, so we'll speed it up a little bit and the Starlights are just going to roll straight down mid. And once the Starlights are out, it's very difficult to deal with those from the perspective of the enemy, just simply because they don't have the income. So back here, you can see Avant-Garde is and not to mention the fact he's core, he doesn't have anything, and this is kind of the problem, right? You don't have anything that can deal with the Starlight. There's literally nothing that you could do. I mean, I don't even know. Like maybe I was thinking like maybe you could go Tigers and try for a flank, but even then, if they're reactive, if they're good, if they know what they're doing, like you're just going to get absolutely shredded. And this is part of this is the Starlight problem. They are just they're really, really good. So let's speed it up as we roll through. It's important to always grab a radar as well as the jammer and make sure that you've got them on the Starlights. You also want to have them spread out because they will chain with each other in the event that they do get blown up. And we're also going to build or bring our resbots to the front. We need our resbots at the front because we need to start reclaiming all of this. So at this point, our C to the south has lost. Not a huge issue because we just avoid going down here. One of the things that I always like to do is whenever we're doing a push, if this C right here is under attack, then we wouldn't go this way. If this C over here is under attack, then we wouldn't go that way. And if they're both controlled by the enemy, then we try and squeeze through here. It can be really hard because sometimes commanders will try and degun on this position here. So you can see our enemy is going to try one trick, the tremor on the hill. He's going to try and put the tremor down and and hold us off with this. The reality is that Starlights are very strong and can shoot up hills, so the Tremor is not going to have a good day here. But let's check in and just see how many Starlights we're at the moment. We're at 6 Starlights, and it's at 11 minutes. This is incredibly difficult to stop. We've got the Jaguars that are now starting to come out as well. So this is pretty much the combo that you can run with. The Jaguar, the Starlight, and then you can also put in the Tick and the Lazarus as well. Can be nice. So we initially see this, and I say, okay, we just want to chill back. We just want to repair a little bit here. You can see we're doing a bit of a repair, and once we've gathered up, then we'll turn around and we'll just jam it down mid, and then from here behind the scenes, everything is going well. Another thing I like to do, scale energy. Just because with 6 Starlights, you actually will run into the energy negatives. You 100% need to do it. Another thing that you may want to consider is also getting out a number of shredders. So we've got shredders that are going to be guarding up the front, I think. I'm not 100% sure if we built them yet, but I like to get like 1 or 2 shredders to the front and then just 1 or 2 shredders and just park them right here, because T1 bombing normally comes through around 14-minute mark, 15-minute mark. So that's something that you need to be careful of. And so at this point here, you can see our Starlights are able to move up. They've got an incredible radius. Is that the right term? Arc. They've got a really good arc, being able to cover just so much. And because of that, it means that there's very little that they can't hit as long as you're paying attention. And that's the key. Really just paying attention to the Starlights, making sure they don't walk up unnecessarily, and always screening with your Jaguars. At the same time, if you've got Ticks, utilizing the line of sight that your Ticks provide. But here at this stage, you can see it's very difficult for the enemy to be able to hold this. We're just going to make our way through. We've got a nice little spread here that we've got lots of things to shoot at, and the enemy's making salamanders, and it's just like there's nothing that they can make that like, the only thing that beats Starlights at this stage of the game is Starlights. Maybe I'm I don't know, maybe I'm missing something, but it just seems like an absolutely broken unit. But I don't know, maybe it's just broken in the context of like these kind of graphs. Like if we take a look at the graphs at the end of the game here, once again, it's that same whole idea. It's like, is the only reason the Starlight seems so broken because we're accessing it so early. So if we take a look at these graphs, once again, we're producing the most resources. We're absolutely miles ahead of everybody else. You can see that we actually had a pretty close competitor right there. He was going kind of ham, the white player on the enemy team. But yeah, I guess the question for me is, how do you stop this, right? Like obviously, it comes down to a number of factors, right? Like it relies on the front not falling. It relies on your eco being strong, but one of the things about like, let's just quit and just have a quick chat. One of the things about like, as the T2 tech gets better with better build orders, like we're doing a 350 T2 constructor right now. Like I can jump into a game. I will show you right now how to do. We'll preset the win to 19, which is my way of saying, okay, that's including overflow from the allies and assuming that we have a relatively favorable game of wind. But like, you can easily get like a 350 T2 constructor, and that subsequently falls down to the geo spot where it's like, the sooner they get their constructor, let's make all of these big. So we'll just be quick here. We only need 4 minutes to show you how it's done. So let's go down over here, and we'll put down our first one. So my base layout always looks something like this. I always want to put my wins down like this just in case we get bombed, because sometimes those bombers can come in really, really early. I don't know whether or not it makes a difference. One of the things I also like to do whenever I'm practicing like this is I just speed up the early game. So you can see we're setting the speed a little bit faster just because we know how it's going to go. Okay, so now we've got our bot lab coming up. So we're going to go into 1 con, 2 Lazarus, and then another con, and then we're going to fill in a whole bunch of wins. We're going to boost out the first constructor. You know what? It probably doesn't make a difference that I do my wins like this. I'll stop doing that. And we don't want to put a win there. We want to put our wins down here. And we only want to go up to 8 wins. Constructor's going to come up. He's going to tap right there. And then we'll eat those trees. Now, behind the scenes, we're going to put low priority. And we want to boost out this Lazarus. He's going to come and eat these rocks and then eat the trees. Let's go ahead and boost him after this wind. It's not a huge boost on him. Something like this. And now we're going to boost this Lazarus. This should be fine. So we're up to 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. That's actually enough right there. And then from here, oh, Lazarus, you come out over here. Let's eat the trees, and then we'll eat all these. And then this guy's going to come down, and he's going to make our nanos. So we want a nano right here. That's to eat the commander, but we can also bring a nano up here as well. So let's focus on getting that nano up. So at the moment we're sitting, keep in mind the wind is locked at 19. Okay, this is assuming that we have a decent wind game. And now from here, we're going to bring our constructor down, and then we're going to finish this one off. Wind's still not looking that pretty, but don't worry. Things will change shortly. And then from here, we're going to drop down our lab. We're going to go for a walk. We're going to eat our we're going to eat our T1 lab. We're just going to also turn on a cheat. And I'm going to slow the game down here, just because we're turning on our cheat. So we're going to give 15 core necros. And we're going to give an Armac to the enemy. And that's going to simulate us handing over this T2 constructor at 2 minutes 30 down to our ally. We're also going to give ourselves an Atlas. And that's to simulate us receiving a transport from the ally. And now we come back over here. We want to make sure that we don't eat this all the way. And Commander's going to come down and eat here. So now we're going to come back and we are... Queue these ones up. Sorry, I'm just having a bit of a brain fart. And now we're funneling all of our resources in. Wonderful, we can get rid of these. So that's to simulate the payment that we've had. We're going to look to blow the commander. We want to blow him as close as we can to when we're hitting 0, just because we want to make sure... There we go, beautiful. We want to make sure that we're maximizing this. And here you can see our T2 lab is coming up relatively quickly. And we're going to look to funnel these resources in. That should be enough right here. Our constructor about to come out. So we're at 335. And now the constructor is getting complete. You can see 17 seconds. We're going to eat the last of this, and then we're going to funnel the resources into here. And that's how you do a 350 T2 constructor. And like once this build trickles down and people realize like, hey, this build's kind of insane, all we're going to do is we're just going to do that. 352. I'm going to grab this guy. You're going to do that. And now we're just going to head straight over here. Whoop, let's make sure you guys eat. I got them all in the same control group. And then he comes over here and drops that down. And the sooner that Geo gets their T2 constructor, the sooner that you're able to carry the game. And of course, that's not the only metal that you're going to be fed as well. You're also going to be fed metal from your air player. Actually, that metal was to simulate the air player. So you'd also get another 430 metal at some point, and they'd be feeding you energy. So once good builds trickle down to players at lower levels, this strategy just becomes more and more reliable. So that's essentially it. If you've got any questions, leave them down below. If you've got any comments or criticism, leave them down there. And of course, if you enjoyed the video, make sure you leave a like. Other than that, we'll catch you in the next one. Thank you very much for watching.